Heartshot looks like a game right up my alley. It's a tactical action blend that doesn't take itself too seriously, has tons of guns, and some extra gimmicks. It was on my wish list for a while, but recently released in early access. So, how is it? Well, unfortunately it's a little buggy and might have been rushed out the door a bit too early. Jarek here, and I kinda hate making videos like this. It's not even super negative, but when I see a new game made by an indie team that has a lot of passion put into their project, I want it to be really good. And to be fair, this has a really solid base and can be really good, but it needs a bit of work first. First impressions were pretty dang positive. It has a nice splash screen, and then the main menu is pretty amusing. Instead of having a pointer to click on things, you get two guns that make noises and have animations. It's the little things that really matter. Seriously, every time I pause the game, I kind of just shot at nothing, because look at it. Anyway, the main menu itself is pretty limiting. In fact, there's not even any graphics menu. That's coming soon. Now, graphic settings are options every game really needs. They are coming. But it doesn't matter too much if the game runs fine, and thankfully this game ran perfectly. I never had any FPS dips or any stuttering, it just worked. So really, I can't complain here. You might be wondering why I'm off in these snowy mountains, but that's because that's where this game takes place. The game boots up to you being briefed in a jet. The Steam page of Heartshot describes this game as espionage, which led me to believe they were covert ops with you under stealth. And the intro kinda leads you to think that. Now, to be clear, I was hoping that wasn't the case, because I famously do not like stealth games. But the trailers also kinda made it clear that it wasn't just stealth, so it works out for me. Anyway, after you're briefed, your entire pod is ejected from the jet, which is probably a huge waste of resources. A parachute would have worked fine. Doesn't really matter, it's super cool, and the intro really impressed me. You don't come to a smooth landing and end up crashing off into the snowy forest. Yeah, this game looks really good at times. The presentation is fantastic right here at the beginning. And once you get briefed on how to use your magnet hands, the game starts showing you its real tone.
Who the hell are you? You're not supposed to be here.
Attention sewer teams. Please do not lean or put pressure on any of the safety railings. We can't ensure their structural integrity. Thank you.
Yeah, this game is a lot less serious than the Steam trailer may lead you to believe. In fact, the vibe I was getting was more Venture Bros than it was Call of Duty.
You guys are henchmen, eh?
Ah, jeez, you're real.
The best thing about it is that you can follow the story even though it's not taking itself too seriously. Your goal is espionage stuff. You're infiltrating this huge base, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. As usual, the higher-ups haven't told you anything, you're there for recon. This doubles as a good storytelling mechanic, as you, the player, are figuring out things with the character in-game. You're also figuring things out with the person in your headset, who doesn't know anything either. She doubles as someone pushing the story along, and good comedic relief. So your goal was to infiltrate, not be seen, and then leave. But after about 15 minutes in the base, this happens.
Literally no one is out there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And nobody on the last shift thought to let me know?
That's one of ours, right?
Oh, no! Intruder! Intruder in the base! Do something!
Oh my god, shoot!
What are you doing? Hit the alarm!
Oh my god, okay!
Well, we made it pretty far without triggering the alarm.
Attention all staff, an armed intruder has been detected in elevator shaft A. All goons report to your commanding officer and prepare to apprehend. Helmets are required at all times until the alert is lifted. Intruder location will be updated regularly. Lockdown has been initiated. Primary shutter doors in the central elevators are now disabled. Please keep all doors locked when possible. Thank you.
And now we can have fun. From this point on, there will be a guy over the intercom telling literal goons to kill you.
breakfast announcement. Not sure why I said that, because breakfast will not be served until the intruder is dispatched. Kitchen crews, please be on standby and arm yourselves.
Do you now see why I associated this with the Venture Bros? It's like you're invading Monarch's base. The stuff he says is incredibly stupid, and the tone he's saying it just does not fit the situation, but that makes it so much better. This is good voice acting. But at the same time, I was finding all of these recordings left around. Apparently, someone else got here before you. He was just inspecting the base. That's all he was supposed to do.
I'll be staying on base for about a week. I've been here about a day, and first impressions are interesting. Company culture is very hierarchical, with a pretty sheer divide between higher-ups and goons. Are they actually called goons? Many of the elevators and doors are not functioning, and I doubt this place would pass any kind of safety test. Stranger still, I haven't been able to get a solid answer on what it is they actually do here. They're definitely manufacturing and assembling something, but they will not let me onto any of their factory floors because of clearance issues. The goons just do tasks as they're ordered, and the department heads are really only concerned with meeting these nebulous and often arbitrary quotas.
Eventually, it turns into the enemies thinking he's a spy and try to go kill him. He hides out in the vents, and you continue to find his messages.
I'm in like an air duct, I think. I'm just gonna keep going. Something is really wrong here. They're locking everything down. I can't get out. I don't think I can get out. I'm gonna spread these recordings around the base if I can. Hopefully somebody can find out what happened and get this out there. If you're listening, please send help. The UN, the Better Business Bureau, anyone. I think they're...
So, yeah. While the game doesn't take itself too seriously, it does have a story that's developing. And I love that. I love it when games don't go full Call of Duty mode, when they know what they are. It's not Game of the Year writing by any means, but it's enjoyable. It's funny. I want to see more of it. Wait. Can dragons make better snow angels since we have wings? I'll figure that out later. How's the gameplay? Well, there's a decent base, but to be honest, the gameplay itself is really basic. You get a ton of guns, but you can only have 2 holstered on your back and 1 in each hand. And if you have 1 in each hand, you're gonna have to reload them eventually. Basically, you can only really carry 3. Not that it really matters, they all pretty much feel the same. Yeah, the gunplay is a really big complaint I have. It does have some impact on the enemies, but as soon as you kill them, they kind of just vanish. More importantly, the different types of weapons are all almost identical. All the pistols feel exactly the same, they're just reskinned, you reload them exactly the same. All the SMGs are incredibly weak and feel exactly the same, so there's no reason to use them. This includes the P90, which also uses rifle ammo. Ammo in this game is separated between pistol, rifle, and shotgun. The P90 using rifle ammo in this case, I guess makes sense. I mean, I know you're not really shoving 223 into a P90, but whatever, it's a video game. However, it functions like the other SMGs in the fact that it's really weak. You also can't two-hand it, you can only one-hand it, which is weird. Regardless, with it being so weak, you don't have any reason to use it. So yeah, the SMGs just aren't good, with the exception of one, the TMP, which is way stronger and really accurate for some reason. I couldn't tell you why this gun is the usable SMG and none of the other ones are. It pretty much just relegates you to using only assault rifles and then the TMP. The assault rifles I don't have any complaints about, they function as you would expect. Except for the way you hold them is always by the magazine, and this has bigger implications than you think. I will get to that later. And then the last weapon you have is the shotgun. Just one shotgun, but it's semi-auto, you can one-hand it. It's really strong, no complaints. There is one exception to the pistol, and this one makes more sense than the TMP. That's a Desert Eagle, which is obviously really good. Probably the best gun in the game. Kills every enemy in the game with 1 or 2 shots. It's basically a sniper. Very, very useful weapon. And it's one you only get at the end of the game, so that makes sense. It's also probably the only time that this game spaces out weapons properly. You will get almost every gun right away at the beginning of the game. Like, these enemies drop these guns like mad. This also unfortunately means that you're not really finding new guns as you play through the game. You get them all at once, you can only carry 2, you want to use all of them at once but you can't, and then you don't find more. So if one of the reasons you're playing the game is to find new guns, you're gonna get kind of bored pretty quick. Especially because the gameplay itself is not really gonna hold your interest that much. There's only 2 different types of enemies, light armor and heavy armor. They act exactly the same, but one just needs to be shot more. Yeah, so that's not really interesting. Is there anything else? Well, you do get the magnet hands. This functions kind of similarly to the gravity gloves in Half-Life Alyx. However, in this case, they're horribly underused. Almost every single time you're using them, it's just to open up a vent hatch, or just to pull a lever. In Alyx, it was fun because the world was full of these props and you could explore everything. I still felt they were underused in Alyx because there wasn't any melee combat or anything more you could do, but they did at least feel like a fleshed out mechanic.
Alex, up here! You're gonna need a gun! Don't worry, it's unloaded. It's unloaded now!
In this game, they really didn't. Now, if you watch the trailer, it would make it seem like you're using these magnet hands all the time. Picking things up, grabbing guns away from enemies, throwing stuff at enemies, but you're not really going to be doing that stuff. In fact, I found throwing things to just be ineffective entirely. There are some props around the environment, but you're not going to use them. I tried throwing a hammer at an enemy and it didn't do much. I tried hitting an enemy with the hammer and they flinched, but didn't really do a whole lot. At one point I got super excited because I saw a power drill. I should be able to walk up to an enemy and power drill him right in the face. But no, it doesn't even turn on. My finger presses the trigger of the power drill, but nothing happens. You even get knives, and the way you hold them is very clearly meant to throw them, but they don't do anything. And they show this in the trailer too. Clearly this is what's supposed to be happening, but like, it doesn't work. And that's the main takeaway I had. This game was released a little too early. There are so many bugs, and it is incredibly janky. I also think it wasn't really tested with index controllers very much. You see, with index controllers, you don't have a button on the back of it. The back of it's just one big sensor, so you're just grabbing the controllers. That means if you ever put your hands by your sides, you're grabbing something because you're pressing it to your hip. And that's exactly where your mag pouches are, so I find myself grabbing the magazines all the time when I didn't want to. That extends to other things too. I kept accidentally grabbing guns off of the ground when I'm trying to reload. I kept accidentally taking off attachments on my gun. I kept accidentally cocking the gun when I was trying to hold it. You remember how I said it's super annoying that you hold the gun by the mag well? Well, this is why. Every time you do that, you either accidentally cock it or pull the magazine out. On top of that, it's really awkward to aim when your hands in-game are so close to each other. Generally, the best way to aim in VR is to try to mimic what your hands are doing in-game in real life. By gripping so close together in-game, it makes actually steering the front of the gun difficult. Aiming becomes really weird. I'm not sure why they went this route, but this really does need to be adjusted. As for accidentally grabbing attachments off your gun, there's a really easy solution to this. Just make it so you have to press the trigger and the grip button to grab your attachments off, which is what a lot of other shooters do. But then here comes the plethora of other bugs I came across while playing this game. I had my hand get stuck in place randomly. My controller didn't disconnect, it didn't lose connection, it didn't turn off. It was just entirely stuck in place. I tried to grab a P90 magazine off of my P90 and, well, that was the result. I think my hands got stuck under the ground, but then I picked the magazine back up just by walking over it, and then it was stuck there. I had to reload to fix it. Similarly, at total random, my holsters would stop working. I couldn't pull any guns off my back, I couldn't holster anything back there, I had to reload to fix it. This happened multiple times. At one point I tried to pick up ammo, and every time you use the magnet hands, it makes a noise, but this time it didn't stop making a noise, and it was pretty damn loud. Your shotgun has an infinite black hole magazine. I'm not kidding. You can load in infinite shotgun shells. It will take all of them and your mag will actually be that deep.
I got 57 more goddamn rounds in this 4-round magazine.
This is a really basic one. I don't know how this one was missed. The AI is also incredibly dumb. This is less of a bug and more of just... man. The last one I'm going to mention is a pretty bad scripting error that I imagine a lot of people are going to come across. At one point, as this big reveal, this mech is going to attack you. You're stuck in an elevator and the mech punches the door. You pull the door eject button, I guess that's a thing, and this gets the mech off of you. Now, if you're like me, the last thing you want to do is be stuck in an elevator with a mech trying to kill you. And since the door just opened, you're probably going to jump out. Nothing stops you from doing this, but what you're actually supposed to do is stay in the elevator. which will then raise you out of place and load you into the next map. Except I jumped out of the elevator and now I'm stuck down here. The mech freezes in place because you're not supposed to be down here and you're gonna have to reload. There really needs to be something to stop the player from jumping out of the elevator. This is a super easy script break. And worst of all, it's a logical one too. I imagine most people will do this. I guarantee you I came across a ton of other bugs while playing through this game and I'm just forgetting them. You get my point. The game is also really short. Even though I had to restart it multiple times because the game would just break for me, it still only took me 2 hours to get through the campaign. Now, thankfully the game is only $15, but even for $15, this is not a lot of content, and the content that's there is not really something I'd care to play again. Is it awful? No, it definitely has a lot of promise. It just needs a lot of work. I think they released it too early. But if the campaign is not enough for you, they do have an arena mode, which is basically an endless horde mode. Without the horde, you can't win, and yeah, that's it. It's a singular map. These guys constantly spawn in and try to kill you, and that's the whole mode. You do get to see a new gun in that mode. You don't get the saw anywhere else, but the saw also shows off how not good the guns feel. You know how most VR games will try to simulate weight and recoil in VR? Well, this game doesn't do that, and the best way to show it is by dual-wielding saws that you can hold perfectly in place in front of you and just fire at will. So yeah, that's Heartshot. If you can't tell, I can't say I would recommend it as of right now. But I don't want to just shit all over the devs. They definitely are trying with this game, and there is promise. The writing is really funny, the opening sequence is amazing. I think if you give it another year or so, this game is going to be a good game, but there's a lot of work till it gets there. I definitely wouldn't really recommend buying it even for $15, but I'd put it on your wish list and kind of watch it, see how this turns out. As for now, that should be this video. Huge thanks to my members. They get to see my videos as soon as I finish them, so that could be a week at a time, could be a month at a time, depends how much I'm stockpiling videos. Thanks to all you guys for watching this video. Dragon, we'll see you next time.